Hey, how's it going? My name is Arish, and I started this podcast, The End Goal, basically to share my experiences with goal setting, achieving my goals, and accomplishing a good amount of things at a young age. I originally tested this out in like clip format on Instagram, just sharing with my friends basically, and had a good amount of positive feedback from that. And I just kind of went with it. I'd always wanted to do a podcast. It went along the same lines of I've always wanted a YouTube channel. I've also, in the past, I think 3 years, I got really interested in the idea of podcasting. I don't know why. I think it might just be just the talking part of it. I really do enjoy talking, it seems, even though as socially awkward as I can be, I just really enjoy talking. But on top of that, I really enjoy talking to people about myself and just in a way that maybe it can help them, not just like about myself in general, but like I hope that something that I do or say can help somebody else. So after the positive feedback from my friends and even talking to some friends about, their own goals and trying to help them with their own personal things, I thought maybe I can just put all this into podcast format so I don't have to cramp myself into 1 minute or a minute and a half segments, and I can just kind of get on here and just talk every week to people. That's kind of the goal. The idea. Well, let me back up. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. Since this is episode 1, who am I? My name is Arish, or I go online as Entro. You can call me either one. I'm a 25-year-old male living in Texas. I am a tax accountant. I do taxes for high net worth individuals. And I just bought a home a few months ago. That's, in a nutshell, that's the current status of my life. And I think that tells you maybe enough for now to kind of know where I'm coming from. And if it doesn't, I'm going to get to that in these next few episodes. The idea of the launch day today is June 1st, the first day I'm launching this podcast. And the idea here is to kind of lay the groundwork and hopefully, I guess, in a way, add credit and merit to maybe the things that I'm saying and things that I want to talk to you guys about. I don't particularly like the idea of coming on here and talking to people and trying to give advice to people and ask questions to people when I have not yet achieved those things myself, or I'm not working on achieving them. I think in many, many situations, we get caught up in people giving us motivation and advice, but they haven't done anything themselves. And I really don't like that aspect of, I guess, the online coaching, mentoring, people saying motivational things online, sharing their experiences online. Well, I mean, sharing your experiences is fine, but if someone, I don't know, it puts a bad taste in my mouth. And so I feel like I need to come on here and kind of give credit and maybe lay out a little bit of my history for you. And if you can relate, maybe that'll bring us a little bit closer to each other. And if you can't relate, maybe you can just sympathize with where I'm coming from, understand my point of view, and maybe that'll lend a little bit of merit to my stances on things, my advice, my experiences, my decisions, my behaviors, etc. So the first day where this is releasing, I'm releasing 5 episodes basically, and they're all basically a part of me. They are my background, my history, and in each of them there is a lesson on the times that I failed and the times that I've succeeded. And I'm going to try and be transparent with you all and reflect on, my failures, why I failed, what happened, what could I have done better, and my successes, why I succeeded, what I could have still done better, but what I think I did well, etc. That's kind of the idea of day 1. And then every day after that, or not every day, what am I saying? Every week after that, I want to release 1 episode. I don't know how long they'll be if they're just once a week, but release an episode just around the different ideas, concepts, stories, questions around goal setting, goal achieving your personal goals, for about 10 weeks, 10 or 11 weeks. The idea here is to make this thing seasonal, because right now in my life, I don't think I'd be able to manage this weekly, every single week. Just given the capacity that I'm at, I have an issue with overloading myself. I'll put that up front. But I'm 25 years old, and this 25th year of my life in year 2023, and I guess a little bit of the end of last year, because my birthday's in October, the whole goal of year 25 has been throwing as much as I can at the dartboard and seeing what sticks. So even if I have to go through weeks and months of, well, that didn't work, what else new can we try, instead of going back to, well, that didn't work, how can I make that past thing better, I'll do it. Because sometimes I just want to see what I like, what sticks, what doesn't. And what does stick, naturally, my energy gets drawn towards it. So I told you a little bit about who I am currently and a little bit of the reasoning for the podcast. The other reasoning for the podcast is it was spurred by this one panel I was on at work one time, and I, as a senior associate, newly promoted, was talking to a group of interns who were coming in. This was last summer. I had the opportunity to share my experiences with my career at the firm that I'm at, along with, a little bit of the pitfalls, a little bit of the successes, and kind of the realities of working in a high-pressure job. I had an intern reach out to me. Out of all the other people who were on the panel, there was a partner there, there was a manager there, and then there was me there as a senior associate. But I had an intern reach out to me, and they said that, my experience, the way I presented myself and my story and the realities of the internship really resonated with them, and they wanted to get a little bit more insight on it and talk to me about it and everything. So I was very humbled, very blessed. I felt that was already like part one of imposter syndrome, right? Basically, like, why would you want to talk to me when you could talk to the literal partner who was there? Why would you want to talk to me when you could talk to the, I don't know, what's it called? Just the other more experienced people there. Why would you want to talk to me? And got on a call with them. I think we talked for an hour, if not more. Just this new person that I've never met, talked to an hour, if not more. And we were just being transparent with each other. I was telling them about my life experiences. They were telling me about their life experiences. And we definitely became good acquaintances then, just off of one hour long call. And I walked away from it, and I immediately went and told my fiance. I walked away from it so happy, giddy. It was interesting. It was a new thing, talking to somebody and thinking that my experiences in life can help them, given that I personally think I'm an average person comparatively to others in the world. And I didn't expect anybody to think that I could provide value to them, to be completely honest. I'll talk to my friends, my longtime friends and brothers in my life. Like, I'll give them advice, help them through things if I can, or we'll just talk things through kind of rationally, because I'm a more of a logical thinker than I am an emotional thinker. My behaviors might say otherwise. But that was the first time when I felt this sudden tug of, maybe you want to call it mentoring, or talking to somebody in a mentor-mentee, partnership, relationship. It was cool. Regardless, it was dope. It was super cool. I really enjoyed it. It was awesome. I went on a panel the next week and talked and just did more things, and that was so cool. Once again, always wanted to be on a panel, and I got to be on a panel at work, so that was dope. End of the internship goes by. I talked to this person again. They said the talk that we had at the beginning of the internship really helped them mentally prepare themselves for the internship. They had a better internship than maybe they would have otherwise going into it, the way they were thinking about it. and we just had another transparent talk about how it went, etc. And it was so nice. It was so cool that I was able to genuinely try and help this person with what they're going through, given that I went through 3 internships at this firm before I got my full-time offer. So I was able to help them through certain things that I learned in 3 consecutive years of doing something. I was able to leverage my experience helping somebody else, and that was really, really cool. That is what first started the idea of posting advice through my experiences online, along with the way I think about things as well, because I don't think I think about things. That's a really weird way to say it. I don't believe I think about certain things the same way others do. And I know I don't, because I have conversations with people who don't come to the same conclusions as I do, who don't come to the same rationale as I do. Whether I'm right or wrong, we sometimes agree on the same thing. Sometimes I disagree with people on something, but we both walk away much more knowledgeable because we were both able to have that discourse, and I was able to leverage my experiences and my thoughts with somebody else. And that's what I really like about this, and that's what I really want to do with this podcast. I really want to get my friends on here, people in my circle that I see are successful. I'm going to be very upfront with you. I am not a big time person. I have not a lot of money. I am not uber successful. I'm not popular. I'm not immensely followed. I don't have 1,000 on anything. I am not a celebrity, anything like that. I'm a very normal, not normal. I'm not normal. I'm gonna put that out there. I'm not a normal person, but I feel like I'm a very average person. But in my circle, there are also a lot of other not normal, average people that are doing great things in their lives. And I learn a lot from their experiences, their stories, their successes, their failures, their behaviors, their thoughts. And I really want to bring that to you as well. I want to bring that to you so that maybe you can also learn, empathize, sympathize, mix your understanding with ours, and maybe grow. The one thing I love is discourse, and I love talking with people. I would love to talk with more than just the people in my circle at some point. If I could get people that I admire, people that I look up to come on the podcast and share their stories, I would love to. If I could talk to you guys, either in the comments or through an email or even through on a call, not on video, but just on a call and talk to you, I would love that, because I love learning with people through that. And I also wanted to do this podcast because I'm not the most eloquent person. I don't have a great camera presence yet. I don't know what a good video a good video presence, audio presence, all that stuff sounds like or looks like. I just like talking. I stammer. I change up my pitch and my tone and my speed a lot, which doesn't make great for content sometimes that I'm trying to record. But on a podcast like this, I hope I can just talk and let you guys and just get everything out that I want to without having to worry about, what did that sound okay for the script? That's why I like this. That's what I'm looking forward to through this. Also, I rant, I banter, I get off on a tangent, and what better place to get off on a tangent than a podcast? Am I right? So that I'm looking forward to all that as well. So back to the topic of today's video, which is the first episode 0. Who am I? Well, I'm Arish. I'm Entro. And I'm the main character of my story. And that's where I want to start with you guys. Is in college, I was just taking a walk one day, watching people on the sidewalk go by. I was walking on a sidewalk, walking by people, and it hit me that, am I the main character of my story, or am I a side character in somebody else's story? And when I thought to myself that, right, that is like one of the first steps in self-actualization, where you realize you are the main character of your life. You have control of your life. You can make your life into what you wanted. You are not bound by the rules, obligations, thoughts, and behaviors of somebody else, right? I'm the main protagonist of my life. You are the main protagonist of your life. You are not the side character in my life, and I'm not the side character in your life. Our lives may clash. We might have a crossover episode. We might play supporting roles to each other. But my life does not exist to be the side character of yours. And your life does not exist to be the side character of mine. And when I thought about that, it really, really put things into what's it called? Perspective for me. Because I feel like up until that point, I'd been going through certain just motions. I've been going through the motions of doing things without really thinking, do I want to do this? Is this what I really want to do? Or am I just doing it because I think I want to do it? Am I easily influenced by somebody else? Or am I in control of my thoughts, actions, and behaviors? I personally am, unfortunately, easily influenced by certain people. I think. Maybe I'm easily influenced by a lot of people. I'm not sure yet. That's a little bit deeper into the self-actualization that I'm trying to go, is figure out what am I in control of and what am I not in control of. Because if I'm not in control of it, I have to get into control of it. Because I cannot allow my life to be controlled by somebody else. You cannot allow your life to be controlled by anybody else. You cannot allow your life to be controlled by that person you saw on Instagram who's flaunting their money. You cannot be controlled by that person you saw on YouTube who's telling you how to make money through a side hustle. You cannot have your life controlled by your boss who's telling you work all the time, don't do anything else, right? You have to make decisions on your own. I understand getting input from other people and having that go into your decision-making process, but you cannot base all of your actions and your life on somebody else. So when I had that realization, it might have been freshman, or I think it was sophomore year of college, which was 2016. No, that's a lie. No, I think it was winter of 2016 when I had that realization. And since then, my life has gone only up. A couple of dips, but if you look at a graph, it's up, right? It's going to the moon. Ew. Sorry, I didn't want to say it like that. It's up. So I would very much, how do I put this into better words? Like I said, I'm not eloquent, dog. I'm not eloquent. You might hear me bluster through words until I get to the right thing I want to say, and I apologize for that. Gradually, it'll get better. Gradually, it'll get much better. I'll be super eloquent. I'll be super nice. I'll be able to convey all my thoughts properly without having to use filler words or things like that. But until then, I hope you'll bear with me. Back to what I was saying. I really hope that you understand and you believe that you are the main character of your life. If you do not think you're the main character of your life, I would be really interested in knowing why. I don't mean to pry, but if you are comfortable sharing in the comments of this video or sending the group an email, I would be very interested to know why you don't think you're the main character of your life. Because that's where I would first want to help anybody like get in control of your life, is make them understand that they're the main character, you know? And I understand time is a thing, right? Time, sometimes we have to wait for things to happen, and time does not treat everybody the same. Time is very biased. Time is prejudiced. Sometimes you feel time is not on your side, and as time is on somebody else's side who maybe you'd think it should not have been them. It should. Why was it them? Why was it not me? You know. But that's a matter of life. Knowing that you're in control and that you can wait because you're in control, you're choosing to be patient and waiting and just keep doing what you're doing is part of the game of life. You know? Up until this point, 25 years old, about to turn 26. I'm going to get married next year. I just bought a home a few months ago. That is the biggest accomplishment of my life, is buying this home. And I just want to share a little bit of the process. Maybe not a little bit. I'll share the process of buying the home with you guys, just in case if anybody out there is thinking about doing the same. Maybe my experience or the way I did things would help you. So backtrack, right? We're flashing back to summer of 2022 when, not even then, backtracking all the way to 2020 when I was about to graduate college with my master's. I was living in an apartment on campus. For all 4 years, I lived in an apartment on campus because I just did not want to go back to my hometown. I was trying to stay in the area I was, work, stay on campus, stay in like a more populated city that I was in, then go back to my small town. And I've always thought about, not always, that spring I was like, I want to get a home. What if I got a home with friends? What if we bought it and then rented it out to people once we were done with it? Or what if we bought it and rented like a room out to somebody or whatever it is? What if I owned a home? Because I was sick of the apartment life. I thought about that. But that didn't work out. I had to move back home that spring. Later on that fall, I tried moving back into the area, even just to an apartment with friends. Didn't work out. Stayed home, stayed in a small town. Hindsight 2020, saved a lot of money. Was able to work a ton because I had just started my job in December of 2020. Save a lot of money. Moved back home with my parents, which is why I didn't want to move back to the small town because I didn't want to move back home because I was just enjoying, doing my own thing, whatever. When I'm at home, I'm more cognizant of my parents' feelings, my parents' thoughts, my parents how they like what they want me to do, all those things. But it was a blessing because I had somebody to cook there for me, my mother. I had somebody I didn't have to clean as much because my father did a lot of the cleaning. I obviously helped out, but I was able to spend a lot more time just working and then making money and saving it. So gradually I was like, okay, 2021 was there, I was getting done, 2022 showed up, and I really wanted to get back into the area. So I messaged another friend of mine. One of the friends that I would previously try to get an apartment with didn't work out. We talked again, and we found a place to move into very early on in 2022. I moved back into the area, back into like my own solo life, had a roommate, but my own solo life. And also what happened in December of 2021 is that I got engaged. We planned the marriage to be in 2024 after a couple of her life events would have closed. So we had about a 2-year gap until we got married, which was going to be a long time. So I started like hitting adult mode. I think this is one of the things I appreciate about me and my life. And the thing that I kind of give myself a little pat on the back for is historically not having been a planner, a pre-planner, a look forward into the life and project like what you want to do kind of person, I was starting to get there. And now that I had a job, I was out of the education system, I have a fiance, so I have a future partner and a future family to think about. Now I need to start thinking like a responsible money-making adult. So I thought about it. I had a lot of thoughts. And one thing I thought about was, where are we going to live? Things like that. When I was rooming all of 2022, it was fine. But I realized that I just don't like the apartment life. I really did not enjoy the apartment life. It was a cramped space, even though the building itself was fine. It was just a cramped space. I didn't enjoy having to, I guess, think about the emotions of somebody else. I didn't want to be considerate of anybody else's thoughts and emotions. I understand if that sounds a little bit brash or a little bit disrespectful, but having grown up the way I did, I was taught to be very cognizant of other people's emotions, other people's thoughts, other people's feelings. So So whenever I would do something, I was very cognizant of the volume that I was making. And that was one of the biggest things, because I am a loud person. I can be a loud person. I like playing music on full volume. I'm a dancer. I love playing music out loud. I love playing my videos and my streams out loud and just doing things around the place. Sometimes I make noise in the morning as I'm getting up. I'm an early riser, things like that. And I felt very limited because I couldn't do that because I was afraid of like waking my roommate up or upsetting him, or making noise in the morning and upsetting the neighbors, and somebody's going to make a noise complaint on me and things like that. I was afraid of all that. So I would always like limit what I could do and what I allowed myself to do. So as a result, I decided in June of 2022, I'm going to look for a home. That is what I'm going to do. Also because when I get married with my now fiance, when we get married in 2024, I might be moving around a lot for her work. And I chose to do that. I might not, like, there would be a really weird gap between my lease ending in February of a year and then we get married and then we have to move. I was like, what am I going to do for those 3 months? I don't want to have to move back home. I don't know what I'm going to do there. What would help? A home. Not a 4-month lease. Oh, that's what would help my entire situation. Plus, I'd already projected out, different scenarios, different things we wanted to do, etc. AKA, what if my wife and I want to come back and start a family here in this area that we both like? Well, there's a home for us here. What if we move out? Well, I have a home to rent out to people potentially. We have an asset here that in 30 years will be ours. Things like that. You know what I'm saying? So I'd done kind of the initial work for it. I had the money saved up for it. I had a nest egg enough to start the process. And I started in June. I called a very good family friend of ours. She's a lady who's been in the real estate business for almost all of her life. She said, I'll be your agent. And this is the first thing I want to tell you guys when you're thinking of buying a home is get an agent. Do not do that stuff yourself if that's not your forte. Get a buyer specifically, but get an agent. Get somebody who can do the talking for you, who is experienced with what to do, when to do, and how to do it. That way, there's less stress on you to do everything. That's the first thing. And then she connected me with a good mortgage officer. The mortgage officer, I told both of them, right? This is my first home, 25 years old. I do taxes, but I don't know the economic side of things. I don't know how mortgages necessarily work. I didn't know what to look for, what I need to even start. Before I even started, actually, I talked to both of them to see, do I have enough to even start? Like, can I do this? And they coached me through it. They were very patient with me. They were very understanding. Second thing I want to tell you guys, find people who are willing to teach you the right things, and be careful of people trying to take advantage of you. If people tell you, yeah, what you're saying sounds great, without giving any of their insight, any of their feedback, any of their reasoning, and just agree with you, run far away. Because you want somebody who's going to work with you through things, teach you certain things that you may not know, or your understanding might be skewed. That way, you make the right decision for you, right? So that's the second thing. First thing, find an agent that you can trust. Maybe you talk to multiple people who bought homes and get the recommendation to talk to people. And then have that person maybe reference you to other people, mortgage people, etc. Find people who you can trust. So after that, what did I do? I had to start looking, but I knew that this was in June. By the end of July is when I found everybody, talked to everybody. And I wasn't really what's it called? I was ready to start looking, but I didn't know what I wanted. So that was basically July through October was me trying to figure out what I wanted in a home that was in my budget. Because at this point in time, one of my sister's very good friends, he had bought a home a year and a half before I was looking, and I loved his home. His home was amazing. I think I've told him multiple times, you have an amazing home. I wish I could have a home like this. It was narrow and tall, but so much space on the inside. Loved it. That was on my price range. That was not in my price range. I can tell you that right now. I do not make that kind of money. I'm an accountant. We do not make money in the tax industry. So I had to look in the area what was in my budget. And I had set a budget for myself of what I thought was reasonable, given my nest egg, my income, my projected future income, projected future payments, things like that. I had set my budget at, I will be transparent with you guys, $350. That is what I set my budget at. For people who don't know, then go $350,000, not $350, $350,000. I set my budget there. Another great thing about my agent is they understood that, you know, you don't have, what's it called? There's a lot of things in a home that you have to look for aside from what it looks like, obviously, right? And she was like, well, you don't want this type of home because there's HOA fees, homeowners association fees. You don't want this type of home because the area isn't good. You don't want this type of home because foundation issues, roof issues, etc. Like she walked me through all of this. Once again, feel very blessed that I had her in my life because I would not have gotten through it if I didn't. I'm going to fast forward all the way through that, back up. Also, during that time, I worked with my mortgage company to set up my loan documents, get my certified buyer certificate in front of finding a home and putting a bid in. That way, there was no back end loan stuff to be done, and I could close more quickly. That was the idea. So if you have the ability to, I would recommend doing your loan documents and getting your certified buyer certificate first, and then going into it. I don't know. I don't think I need to disclaim this, but listen, I'm obviously not a real estate professional. I'm only telling you my experience with literally what I just did in the past year, literally. So I'm just telling you my experience. Once again, talk to other people. Cool? We're gonna keep going. So fast forward all the way through October. I'm a tax accountant. I do taxes for high net worth individuals, millionaires and billionaires. I was doing their taxes in September and October. I could not look for a home. I just looked online and starred all the homes that looked good. And then November hit, right? I had to move out in February 2022. This is November. I have 3 months to find a home. Time is crunching. I'm under pressure. So every 2 or 3 days, I would grab a list of 5 homes that I found online and drive around them in the area. And not just the immediate area, 20 minutes out, 30 minutes out from where I was, I would try and find a home. But that was still within the area that I wanted to be in. Good distance from work, good area around it, walkable, nice neighborhood, safe that I can go outside and take walks and things like that. That's what I wanted. November was basically that. I found one home in the city that I wanted. That was amazing. But it was quite literally at the limit of my budget. I went and saw it with my agent. We both liked it. It was spacious, large. I could have taken care of it on my own. It just would have been a lot of cleaning to every 2-3 weeks, like a good cleaning, but I could have done it. Took my family to go see it. They liked it. They were just a little bit hesitant. Like, hey, listen, it's at the top of your budget. Are you good? Like, are you good for it? And I had to keep telling my family, like, I'm good for it. I believe that I'm good for it. Brought my fiance and her family to come see it. They liked it. Or not her family, just my fiance to come see it. She liked it. So I thought this could have been the home. It was just at the upper limits of my budget. So people kept telling me, like, don't make any hasty decisions. Keep looking. Keep looking. Don't make any hasty decisions. And I hate that. That's the one thing I hated, was waiting and not being able to make a decision. Because I'm somebody who makes immediate decisions. If I feel good, I do it. I don't like wait 2, 3, 4 days a lot of times to make decisions if I feel good about it. Sometimes your gut is wrong. I fully admit that. And sometimes your gut is right, you know? So I waited and I went to look at other homes. That home went off the market. So I didn't have a backup at all. It wasn't like if I can't find anything, I go to that home and I make it work somehow. I didn't have anything at that point. So December comes around and I'm looking and I'm stressing out. Every single other other day I'm grabbing 5 or 6 homes and driving by after work, an hour and a half, just driving, trying to find homes. I think I probably I only walked into 2 homes, but I looked at least 50 to 70, I want to say. I looked at a good amount of homes just in those like month and a half. Couldn't find anything. Could not find anything that was good and didn't have an issue with it that I could go into and not have to worry about shelling out more money after I just bought the home. So I was stressing again. My father was like, what's plan B? I was like, well, there is no plan B. It's just go get another apartment. He's like, okay, have you looked at an apartment? I was like, why are you asking me to work on plan B when I'm trying to work on plan A? Love my dad, but I think that's the part that really got me, was like, why are you trying to make me work on plan B when I'm trying to work on plan A? Plan B, I'll just go get an apartment. Like that's not a big issue to me. But I'm trying to work on plan A. At one point, my agent doing this had sent me a list of homes, but they're out of my budget. And what happened was I got so stressed. I was in such self-doubt that I was like, let me just go look at these homes that she sent me. This one's fine. I mean, because they're all out of my budget, right? So I thought I'll just look at them. I'm not going to look at the price, and I'm just going to look at the pictures because they're all out of my budget. Looked at the pictures, looked at the area. I was like, this is nice. In the area that I like. The home looks decent. It's a decent size for me. It looks clean, etc. Looks open, etc. So what do I do? That was the second home that I went and looked at with my agent. We came here. We looked at the home. I walked in it. I felt good. Okay, I have to backtrack. I walked into 3 homes. The first one I felt good. The second one did not feel good at all. The third one, I felt good when I walked into it, and my parents and my agent, because she's in my religious community. We're all very religious. They said, if you don't feel good walking into a home, then the home's not for you. You should feel good walking into a place that you're living, that is yours, that you are taking care of and is taking care of you. So if you do not feel good even walking into before you buy it, there's no guarantee you'll feel good afterwards. So you need to make sure you feel good walking around in the place. Like it may be yours, so you have to feel good about it. So what did I do? I walked around, looked at every room, every cabinet, the area, and I felt good. I felt good about it. This house was $365, so it was 15 above what I had budgeted, and just another 15,000 would have stretched me for cash, just in terms of like a monthly like expense kind of thing. My agent really pulled it, like really was like clutch here. She ran like a, what's it called? She ran a report kind of on a lot of the other homes in the neighborhood in the area, saw what other things were selling for, and what other people were buying for. And she was like, we could probably bid less and just see if they take it. And I was scared. I was like, are they just going to outright decline and not let me bid again? Like, what's going to happen? She said, no, trust me. We'll just bid less and see if they take it. So we bid $45K under. We bid $320. And what happened was that this... Oh my God. Y'all, I'm not lucky, right? My family has this internal joke that we're not lucky people. If bad things can happen, there's a better chance of bad things happening than good things happening. Like luck is not in our favor. We don't win raffles. We don't win draws. We don't win lotteries. We don't get that kind of stuff, right? We don't win sweepstakes. That's not my family, right? All of the luck that I did not have, either that or all the luck and good blessings from God that I was storing up, came out right then. Because who would have thought that the seller is foreign, has never been to the States to see the home that he has, that he only rents out. Never seen it. Never been here. So when we bid that, we were like, listen, there's stuff wrong with the place, obviously, because it's older. someone hasn't lived here for months, and it's not necessarily the same quality as the other homes on the street. It's a really nice home. It's not a 2-story. It's not large or anything like that like the other homes here. So we're not going to pay the full of what the other home values are. We're going to pay what we think it is. Man's accepted that. Also because he was trying to get rid of it. He was like, I'm just trying to sell. So he accepted it. And then the whole home buying process really starts, right? Got to put in a bid. You have to get your inspection done. When the inspector's here, he gives you his whole report. He tells you these things need to be addressed ASAP, or these things can be addressed later. And some of the ASAP things were like a water leak. There was potentially a water leak in the house. There were later uncovered foundation issues in the house. There was rotting on the roof. Like there were things on like certain parts of the home that needed to get fixed. So I was like, oh shoot, I'm gonna have to do these when I get it. AJ was like, no, we'll just go back to the seller and ask him to fix these things. I'm like, can we do that? Can't he just like pull back his cell? Can he just pull it back if he doesn't want to do that? And she was like, he could, but since you've already gotten it inspected, like they know that's an issue with the home, so they'd have to get it done before they sell it anyway. So we should just ask them to do it now. So she handled all the negotiations, all that stuff, and there was a lot of back and forth. And there was one Sunday evening that I was in my apartment. I turned all the lights off, closed all the blinds, and I was sitting in the corner of my bedroom crying because I was so stressed that like things were going back and forth so much, and I was so scared that I wasn't going to be able to get this home. And I'd already like started envisioning my life in this home before, like while I was like doing like the process, and I was crying, bro. I was crying man tears to my sister on the phone. She like walked out of her friend's dinner to talk to me. Shout out my sister, love her. I was shedding real man tears this Sunday night, man. Y'all don't even know, because it was the first time I'd ever done something like this. I didn't know what to expect, and I was getting my emotions involved. I could not think logically because this was such a big thing in my life. I could not think logically. I got so emotionally attached and invested in what was happening, which I feel like is okay because this is like, I'm buying a home, right? I'm buying a home for myself. This is the one time to get emotionally invested in something. Things kept going back and forth, but eventually, we came to an agreement. I was able to come to agreement with agreement with the seller on things. I was able to convince my parents for certain things. I was able to get a good rate. The second lucky part in my life was the fact that I locked in a rate at like 6%, 6 point something percent, as opposed to 7. Like every other day besides that day that I locked it in was 7, and I got it at 6, and I was like, oh, I'm never getting lucky in my life again, just because of everything I went into like what I'm doing right now. And that entire process took 3 months, and I closed 4 days before I had to move out. That is the biggest success of my life. And it was crazy how everything happened. I was really, really, really just on something different when that was going on, because I had work, other just life things to do, obviously wedding planning, etc. So all that stuff was going on, and so proud of myself for being able to get through that. But the other lesson, I should not skip this part. I apologize for not saying this earlier. I did not do this completely on my own. I had help from many people. Financially, I was good for it, but I still had help from my parents. And I don't want to discount that. I don't want to make it seem like I did everything on my own, because I didn't. If it were not for these people in my life that I had met, and that I had newly met and worked with and trusted, I would not be where I am right now. That is maybe the third lesson out of this story, is to really try and rely on those in your life that you can trust, and let people help you even when you think you don't need it. One of my biggest issues is wanting to do everything on my own and not going to other people for help. which has bitten me a lot more time than it has helped me. So if you can, ask for help, ask for advice, for information, talk to people. I feel like my dad right now, because this is the exact same thing he would tell me, and I'd be like, no, I can do it by myself, it's fine. My fiance would be like, let me help you. I'm like, no, I can do it by myself, it's fine. I did not do all this by myself. A majority of it was spurred by me, right? My idea, my actions. My family does not live near me. My sister lives in another state. My fiance lives in another state. I was alone doing things, but I had a support system that I'm very grateful to have. And if I can leave you with one last thing, it is that do not be afraid to go past your limit. Do not be afraid to push the boundaries of what your life is at currently. Do not be afraid to be uncomfortable. I'm not saying that you have to embrace uncomfortability. I understand that it's not for everybody at certain points in life. I'm slowly embracing uncomfortability at this stage of my life at 25 years old. But if you can embrace uncomfortability and pushing your life past what you think its current limits are, so many things will then become open to you that you might start feeling like the main character in your life, you know? So that was a little bit of who I am initially. My successes, my failures, I will share with you in the next 4 episodes. The home was just one of the biggest things that happened in my life. There's a lot of history, I guess, in my life in terms of educational, fitness-wise, dance-wise, and career-wise. And these are all different parts of my life. And the reason why I'm bringing to you guys in such segmented forms is I really want to make the point across that even though these are all normal life things, these are all very unique experiences that each of us has, right? My educational experience is not the same as yours, but we could have both learned something from it. My career experience is not the same as yours, but we can both learn something from both of our experiences. And so what I want to do is not be afraid to share my experiences with you guys. That way I can maybe, hopefully, help you work through something that you're going through, give you ideas, give you questions to ask yourself. The next 4 episodes are going to be those 4 segments of my life that I'm going to talk about. They might not be as long as this initial one, but I hope they will be educational, informational, and enjoyable nonetheless. That being said, I really appreciate you listening all the way to the end. If you got to the end, like I said, this is a new thing for me. I hope to do this more in the future. I can't guarantee that, I'll have the most energy in the world, but I can guarantee that I will try my hardest to provide you value every single episode. Thank you for listening to this episode of the End Goal Podcast. I appreciate you. If you liked this podcast, please don't. Man, I really thought I had that outro on lock, man. I was getting it, and then my brain shut down. Okay? We're going to try this again. That being said, thank you very much for listening to this episode of the End Goal Podcast. If you enjoyed this podcast, please leave a review or rate the podcast wherever you're listening. Put a like on YouTube or leave a review on Spotify or wherever you're listening to this. And just know that I appreciate you. I'm always open to talking. This is a safe space. So if you would like to talk about anything, please feel free to. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.